She was just 14 when this happened. She's 15 now. She was in court, back in court today. This is out of Mississippi. Carly Gregg is her name. She's a 14-year-old who was in high school. Her mother was a teacher in the school, and she was a really good student, like an award-winning student who had skipped one grade. So this wasn't I'm trying to figure out the right word to describe what she isn't. But what she was is, someone who was excelling in school, doing well, but obviously had some issues that required her to have and take some sort of medication. It's sad. It is tragic, but it's now in our system of justice. So we're going to talk about it. Carly Gregg, you may or may not know this story. I'm not sure. From the spring is when it first happened, but she was back in court today. We're going to talk about it tonight on my show on Court TV. We'll go through some of the issues involved in this with some experts. But 14 years old, and the story, if you don't know the story, she takes a weapon, one of these, walks into her mother's bedroom and fires once. There's a scream, fires two more times, and her mom is gone. Her mom is gone. Seemingly out of left field with all of this. Seemingly. We don't know all the ins and outs of what was going on inside that home, which obviously will be part of this case. Now, the reason they are able to ascertain exactly what was happening, there's a couple of security cameras in the home. So this stuff is caught on video and audio. So then what does she do after walking into her mom's bedroom and firing 3 times, and now her mom is gone? She contacts a friend, asking the friend if she wants to see the body. Like, this is some sick stuff, to say the least. Have you ever seen a dead body? Do you want to see one? Come on over. So then a friend comes over. And then while her friend is there, she tells her to get out of the house because her stepfather's coming home. So the friend goes into the backyard. So she's a witness to all of this now. And then she does the same thing to her stepfather when he gets home. That's her mom right there. Mom was a teacher at the school where she was. The father survives. The stepfather survives. So he'll be a witness in all of this. And he can take the jury inside the home. He can take the jury to the moment. He can establish everything that's happening there. Somehow he survived. He was able to call 911. So in this case, there are some very compelling pieces of evidence. Eyewitness, direct evidence. Video, direct evidence. Audio, direct evidence of what happened here. So the obvious place where we always go in circumstances like this, well, 2 circumstances really. One, almost inexplicable behavior out of character. And honestly, we go down this route as well in cases where there is no defense. Like, there's no defense, like somebody else did it. You can't prove it, all that. They can prove it. They've got 2 forms of direct evidence, in video and audio together, and then an eyewitness. And then you've got this other friend who comes over and sees and hears whatever admissions were made by the then 14-year-old who's now 15 years old girl who had just won Student of the Month and had just won Student of the Year the prior year. Skipped a grade. Growing up, she skipped a grade. So she was a year younger than every rest of her classmates because I guess academically she was able to skip. There you see her getting one of her awards at school. It's from their Facebook page. So today she was in court. This is her today in court as a 15-year-old. And the issue was competency. I'll explain this. Mental illness, two ways it's dealt with inside of our system of justice. Competency is your mental state right here, right now. The issue of competency is relevant to whether or not the case can proceed. Okay? Someone must be deemed competent in order to have a case proceed against them. If they're not competent, meaning mentally they cannot participate in their defense, they don't understand what's happening around them, then they're incompetent. It doesn't mean they're set free. It just means that their case is held in abeyance up until the point that they become competent. Because we can't prosecute people who aren't competent. They have a right to participate in their defense. They have a right to understand what is happening to whatever minimal extent that is necessary. And in her case, the judge found she's competent, so things are moving forward. So that gets us to the second mental part of all this, which is legal insanity, which generally is an understanding of rightfulness versus wrongfulness. Do you appreciate the wrongfulness of what you're doing? Did you realize what you were doing was wrong at the time that you did it, right? Let me give you another piece of information here that is significant. And it was the description of Carly by her stepfather at the moment she's going after him. He said her eyes were really big, almost as if she had just seen a demon. That's the way he described her. When now her friend's in the backyard while she's engaged with her stepfather. Then when she finishes there, she screams and then runs like half a mile away. Stepfather calls 911. They respond, they find her, they take her into custody. She's charged with first degree in Mississippi, being held solitary confinement, likely for protection purposes as someone who's underage, but is not in a juvenile facility right now. So the whole thing is going to be about mental state, we believe. Although today the defense did not bring forward everything they were supposed to bring forward today. A judge was a little angry with them, but that's how it's going to proceed. This would be some sort of mental disease or defect type of defense. There might be some level of, everyone's going to say, well, why would she do this? Why would she do this? She didn't do it to seemingly get away with it, right? Because she just screamed. She must know there's cameras in the home, and then like ran away half a mile and was easily, had no plan, had no escape plan necessarily afterwards. This wasn't a case like where someone's getting punished by their parents and they're angry, or you can't see this boy, or things like that we've seen in the past. Doesn't seem like it's anything quite like that. What will be interesting is to understand how the stepfather sees this case and how he believes it should be handled and what he believes was happening. The one issue that has come up, and I think it's a significant one, is that whatever medication she was on had just been changed. So she was on some new medication. And we've seen cases like that before where the medication has a certain adverse impact on someone that suddenly can turn fatal. So this is also unusual. This is in Mississippi. Now, I've been at Court TV for years. We generally don't cover cases in Mississippi because generally Mississippi doesn't permit cameras, but they're permitting cameras in the courtroom for this case. And cameras are in the courtroom for the hearing today. So this is one I think you'll hear a lot more about as it continues to proceed, unless there's some agreement by both sides. And that's always possible. Sometimes in cases where it's alleged that there's legal insanity, if you have experts from both sides or a neutral expert saying, oh, yeah, she didn't know right from wrong here, there can sometimes be an agreement and the thing can sort of get wrapped up in some sort of a resolution where, they'll go to an institution and then at some point they'll get out of that institution. Whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it is, depending upon how the patient responds to treatment. So this case, has been a little bit under the radar, which surprises me to a certain extent. But it's one we're going to be talking about tonight, 8:00 on my show on Court TV. So that's good. And Anita, oh, wow, I didn't know it was caught on video. Yeah. Now, that video hasn't been made public yet, but if you go to trial, it's the evidence. So they've got to make it public at that point. Sassy Southern girl said this happens way too many times now. Well, there's another part of this, right? Like if it's an adverse reaction to some medication, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, right? There was a changed medication. If there's an expert or experts who agree that this is what happened here, that brings another issue into the fold outside of this criminal case, which is, okay, hey, whoever the makers are of this medication, are you aware of this? Is there any evidence of this? Is this something that they knew about? Is this one of the potential warnings about the adverse effects? And, so I think this case will be less about, mother-daughter drama, where it'll be more about what's going on with this teenager mentally and how was she handled, how was she treated. If she's taking medications, then she's obviously under the treatment of some doctor. So that doctor's testimony relevant, but that doctor's going to be a little bit like, yikes, because the doctor's the one prescribing the medicine. So there's a lot more at play here. And I think it's a bigger, it becomes an even bigger story, because obviously if she's taking some medicine that may have impacted her, may not have, but may have, then the story could impact a lot more children who may be taking this medication. And there may be some things we need to know about. So I think there's a lot to uncover here. On the other hand, could have nothing to do with the medication, could just be a child who's wired wrong. Or maybe there was something happening in the house that we didn't know about. I haven't heard anything about that. Brian M., has she been charged? Yeah, first degree, locked up in an adult facility, but in protective custody. There were some allegations by her attorneys a while back that there were some threats made to her. So, okay. So she has been charged. Cheryl Ann Appleton, what's with the prim and proper school dresses? Yeah, well, that's going to make you look a little different maybe than you did on the day that this all happened. Now here's an original mugshot. You can take a look here. That's closer in time. This in court is a year afterwards, right? So she's 15, not a full year, but she's older now, a little bit older. There she is in one of her early court appearances. There's another court appearance as well. All right. Hello to Frankie Figs, who is in the house. Frankie Figs, Jennifer Sube, another one of our admins, Gen X, Morbid and Weird. Yeah. Yeah. And Melly. Big thank you to the Mod Squad. Fade to White is here. Hey, VP. Hey, Fade to White. So this kid, and she was 14 at the time, and we've seen cases with teenage girls before. I want to tell you about another case with teenage girls. I don't have any images to show you, and you may or may not know about this other story, but I'm starting to dig into it a little bit. I'm going to mention it now because the girls involved in this one are also 14, or 14 now, may have been 13 when this happened. A story out of Kansas that you may have heard of, you may not have heard of. 93-year-old woman brutally attacked. It's a horrible scene, and she loses her life. 93-year-old woman living in a nice little neighborhood in Kansas. First 48 hours, they don't make any arrests. They investigate this case for a year, almost an entire year, and then they finally make 2 arrests in the case. 2 14-year-old girls. What? So they make the arrest and they charge them. This is in Kansas. These arrests were just made recently. One of the girls' fathers gives an interview to local news anonymously. They don't use his voice. They just report what he said on a phone call that they had. One of the fathers of one of these 14-year-old girls says, "My daughter's innocent. What happened was the girls were out and they somehow got in contact with this man who coerced them or convinced them to come with him, and they went to the 93-year-old woman's house, and the girls did nothing. They were just there, and they witnessed what this man did. And as it was happening, one girl put her hands over the ears of her friend." The father also reported that after he did this, he told these 2 girls, who may have been 13 at the time, they're 14 now, I believe, that if you tell anyone, I'm going to get you and your families if you tell anyone anything about this. End of story. Almost sounds Slender Man-ish. So the question is, what happened here? Could there have been a man there? And if so, why? How did investigators get to these 2 14-year-olds and not in any way track down this guy? This case right now is in juvie, so nothing is being made public. So it's tough to get any sort of information. But one of the local news organizations in Kansas, got the interview with one of the fathers who was there for the interview, because if you're a juvenile, your parent is there with you and was there for the interview when they were providing this information. I don't think they're buying it at all, but there's still a bunch of questions with that case and whether or not the now 14-year-olds will be brought up to adult court. So that's where that one is. But this case made me think of that because of the age of the girls. Really young, and these are both really violent scenes. One girl by herself with a weapon, the other 2 girls in a very messy situation. First of all, they got away with it for a year if they did it, but he's saying that they were there. So they're at a minimum, they're at the scene and said nothing under threat. which would make sense. I think a 13-year-old would be very scared. The father also reported that both of these 14-year-olds have been holed up in their room for the last year. Like they just haven't been the same. Now, that could be a result of witnessing this and being threatened, or it could be a result of actually doing it. But it's clear that they're involved. All right, Nina G. I'll start with you, Nina G. Yes, this woman has been She's not a woman. She's a teenager. Why am I saying woman? This teenager has been charged as an adult, first degree, being held in an adult facility. It looks like it'll be a mental disease or defect as the defense, some form of legal insanity. That's where we are in this one. I was just referencing another case that I'm still trying to get more information about, involving two 14-year-olds from Kansas. This case is from Mississippi, rare Mississippi case where the judge has permitted cameras in the courtroom. So we'll get to see how this thing develops. And today was a competency hearing. Judge found her competent to stand trial. But when we get to trial, they'll talk about her mental state at the time of the two shootings. So she's charged as an adult. This is the question, Princess Mariposa. I don't know. Meds for what? Not clear. Not clear. Whatever the meds were for, whatever the meds are for, the meds had been changed just beforehand. So I think that will play into some of the expert testimony that I would anticipate. But apparently, all the expert analysis has not been done yet. Judge was not happy about that. Sarah Halama. Hi, Vinny Politan. Hi, Sarah Halama. Great to have you aboard today. Okay, we've got a local, M. Frances King Smith. She's 14. I live in Mississippi following this case. And by the way, M. Frances on Facebook. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X right now. And this is rare, M. Frances. You're going to get a camera inside a courtroom in Mississippi. So tonight on Vinny Politan Investigates, we're going to take a closer look at this case, bring in some experts, and bring in one of the local journalists who's been on top of this story and knows everything about this story to give us some of the inside Mississippi scoop on what's going on here. Princess Mariposa bringing up a good point here. I like this point. World's gone crazy since C. Yeah, we can't say the C word, can we? That hit us in 2020. Children were destroyed, absolutely destroyed. It was not handled properly. We know that. We've seen the impact on a generation of children from all different ages, right? That were desocialized and just strange things were done to our children. It was really, it was bad. It was really bad. I think it's inexcusable, really. No one will be held accountable for it, but a whole generation of kids feeling the impact of what the adults did to them. You know, we're supposed to hug the kids, and when I say hug the kids, I mean take care of the children, think of them and how, before you take an action, all right, how does this impact all these kids? No, it's like, oh my goodness. The kids are the germs. They're the germs. They need to be put away. Put them in a bubble. Get them away from us. Don't let them interact with one another. It was madness, absolute madness. And now we're seeing the impact. I agree with you, Princess. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure what the medications were for on this, but we'll find out everything tonight. We'll find out a lot more details on my show tonight. Sammy Hunter, been watching for years. Thank you, Sammy. Great to see you. Becky Ann, hey, Vinny Politan, Court TV. Hope you're having a great day. Indeed. Looks like we got a good number of folks on Facebook today. I'll be honest with you, Facebook. Facebook has not been Betty good to me. You know, get 1 million followers and nobody gets to see any of my stuff on Facebook anymore. Facebook just, the algorithm has absolutely killed my Facebook presence. But I'm seeing a few more today, so maybe this one they'll actually do a little more with. Very interesting. See, Missy Lane, that's exactly where I was thinking. I was thinking it was for a boyfriend, but no. Wow. Yeah, had nothing. It wasn't, because we've seen that. I've seen that story, a bunch of times, like way too many times. Teenage girls, something going on. Sometimes they'll enlist the help of a boyfriend or someone who wants to be a boyfriend to help them. Remember, I covered a case out of Alaska once. This girl manipulated two. They got caught. They're doing all their time. I get it. But like, she was able to manipulate two different boys who were sort of competing for her, although they were a little bit older than she was, into taking out her parents. So that's the more normal pattern that we've seen with teenage girls. But that's not it here. There's something else going on. Something else going on. Mary's out of the loop. Mary, this is a new loop. You're not out of it. It's just a brand new loop that I haven't talked about this one yet, and it hasn't gotten a ton of play, but it will get a lot more play now that Court TV is on it. And we've got cameras in the courtroom in Mississippi in this case. This happened in the spring. So now she's on a track for a trial. So we're tracking all of the developments as we get closer and closer to a trial in this case. Today was a competency hearing, but the actual act happened back in the spring. I think a lot of us were distracted with a couple of cases from the spring that were happening on Court TV. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes there's stories and things that happen. And, we at Court TV are in the middle of a big trial or a couple of big trials in a row. Very focused on in-depth coverage of that. And some of these stories that happen, we monitor, but we don't spend as much time talking about or reporting on them. This one now, obviously, we'll be reporting on more and more and more as we get closer and closer and closer to a trial, if and when it happens. I say if because I think the mental issue is still up in the air as to how both sides see it. And I mean, there's a lot of cases where there's a mental disease defense that don't go to trial because both sides agree. But when they don't agree, that's when you have a trial. So you're not out of the loop. Yes, being tried as an adult, lovely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Deb Afuso, what punishment will they give her if found guilty? Well, there again, we've got to see. I haven't covered a ton of cases out of Mississippi because generally they don't have cameras in the courtroom. So I haven't covered a ton of trials out of Mississippi. I think there was one cold case years ago, and the defendant was in a wheelchair. It was, things that he had done years ago. I think it was like 40 years prior. But that becomes an issue, right? Because of her age. Obviously, capital punishment off the table, but in some circumstances, life without parole is now becoming controversial for people who commit offenses as young teenagers. This one she's 14 at the time. I think there's also different levels of what she could potentially be found guilty of. Now, if everyone agrees that there's a level of legal insanity here that's appropriate, then she'll go to an institution and be evaluated and reevaluated every 3 to 6 to 12 months. And there will be determinations upon how much freedom she should have. But if it's a straight up criminal case, and if she's found guilty in the criminal case, I think life is a possibility. But I think there'll be some level of discretion or flexibility for the judge. But we'll see. We'll get there. All right. Clark Rice has a good question here. Isn't it unusual for an alleged juvenile offender to be on video in court? I mean, I know nothing of the case, but when I saw her on TV, it struck me that she seems very young. Yes. If you're in juvenile court, those are not public proceedings. That's part of family court. There's never cameras in juvenile court, but depending upon the state and what the laws are, Mississippi, you're 14. That is old enough to be tried as an adult despite your age. She's being housed in an adult facility. She's in some form of isolation, probably for her protection, protective custody, but is being treated as an adult in our system of justice right now. You may think it's right, you may think it's wrong, but that's what's happening, and that's why you will actually see her inside the courtroom, because she's not in juvenile court, she's in adult court, and the judge has okayed everything. But yes, you are absolutely right, Clark Rice. It is very unusual. We've had a few cases through the years. King Brothers down in Florida was probably one of the youngest looking defendants that we've ever had. She definitely looks young. I'll show you a picture of her from today. We have a picture of her from today. This is today. So that's how she looks now. Amanda, who is this? Please, just joining. This is Carly Gregg. Carly Gregg from Mississippi, accused of walking into her mother's room, firing 3 times, then inviting a friend over to see mom's body. Then, as her stepfather comes in, firing again. However, the stepfather survived. She screamed, Carly screamed, and then ran a half a mile away, was eventually caught by law enforcement. Hope that brings you up to speed. I know people joining in the middle, trying to bring everyone up to speed. Uh-oh, Jennifer Sube. My one daughter is 14. Good luck. Every child is different. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm a few minutes behind in the comments here. Just trying to catch up. Just trying to catch up here. Sue Ford. Vinny, I think she waited for her mom to come home. Premeditated. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was hidden. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Sue. This is definitely premeditated. It's on video. You've got direct evidence from the video. You've got direct evidence from the surviving victim, her stepfather. So it's that's why it's first degree premeditated. I mean, but for the age and the medication, you'd be like open shut case. But I don't think the issues are going to be connected to who did it, how did she do it, can we identify her? I think all that stuff's going to be pretty straightforward, which is why the defense is going to focus on the mental aspect of this for sure. And here we go. We've got Carol with, Carol with Ain or with Ain 13. Carol with Ain 13. Exit 15W. Oh, that's a good exit. Has been watching for years. Thank you, Carol. Off topic. Is there a trial date for Stephen Stearns yet? Okay. Trying to remember. I don't think there's a firm trial date yet for that one. I think there were issues. I think there's a status date that's been set, but not a trial date. But I suspect there will be a trial date set at the next status date. And remember, there's two cases for Stephen Stearns. There's the first case for the images and what was done on, and what we saw on his, not we saw, but what investigators saw on his phone. And then there's for what happened to Madeline. But I do not believe we have one of those yet, Kelly. We do have a status, and we're going to be doing a video on the latest in that, just a sort of a reminder video coming up soon. But there should be a new, I think it's October status date. Could be an October status date. Remember, there's a lot of discovery in this, and his lawyers have to go through everything for both cases. But I do believe that prosecutors want to do the phone case first. All right. By the way, folks, Sammy Hunter, but C wouldn't cause you to be a psychopath. No. But it did mentally destroy a lot of kids. The reaction to it, not the actual C, but what was done by school systems, etc., the shutdowns, the lockdowns, the isolation, all of that impacted children the most. And I think at the time, a lot of people knew that, but the people in charge didn't seem to care about that part of the impact. Mm-hmm. All right. Too many shoes. Can you ever have too many shoes? Teenagers don't see around corners, so to speak. True, right? They don't see around the corner. Maybe premeditated and too immature to appreciate the consequences of her choices. And I think the big question here is the why is she making those choices? And I think that's where the case will be focused. And Melly, allegedly they are psych meds. Yeah. That's my presumption, right? You're changing meds. What exactly were the symptoms that she was demonstrating? What was the alleged diagnosis, and why was the medication switched, and what was the medication? I think that's really what everything's going to be focused on. And one of the experts who was doing one evaluation wasn't an expert in that area. So mm-hmm. All right. Scato 5, she only looks about 10 years old. Yeah. Yeah. No, she's young. She's absolutely young. And that becomes another overriding concern in this case, which is if you do find her guilty, you find her not legally insane. What do we do with her? What do we do with her? And for how long do we do it? Is the question. She looks like a little kid. She is a little kid. Oh, Maui Swift. Jerry Lee Lewis. Great balls of fire. Married a 14-year-old in Mississippi, so is considered an adult. And Christina, has it been explained why? No, it has not been explained because we don't know why. I think that's the question that the system needs to understand. Like, is there a criminal motive or is there a psychiatric break? Criminal motive versus psychiatric break. And Lucy Guest giving us some information about the victim, Lucy Guest Slaughter. Her mother was an outstanding teacher at the local high school, the high school that her daughter was going to and winning awards at. Makes it very tragic. Very, very tragic. Not heard of this case. What state? Mississippi. Mississippi. Mick Spunky is here. Hello, Mick Spunky. Let's take a moment to just enjoy this Monday. Hello, Mick Spunky. All right. Oh, I knew it. I was feeling a little low with the energy for a second, and I just checked my blood sugar. It's not good. I have a low blood sugar. Should I do a shot of my mixed berry vial tasting real on glucose, fast acting? Or should I have one of my juice boxes, my mango juice? I'm not going to do a formal question, but which of these two should I have right now? Because I got to have it like right now. So let's vote. Let's vote. Oh, I have my gummies too if I want gummies. Juice, mango, 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 mango. All right. I may have to end this a little early because I am just feeling a little low. See, the adrenaline of doing the show sometimes can mask the blood sugar, the low blood sugar. Grown man with the juice box. It's gone. Oh, yeah. Now I'm starting to get the alerts. More alerts. I don't know how I didn't get the other alerts. It usually vibrates. Ooh. All right. Talk amongst yourself. Type 1, Lori. Type 1, Lori. Type 1. Lori's on X. We got an X comment. All right. We got a X comment. T1D is rough. It can be a little rough, yeah. Everyone's voting for the mango. Mango time. Right now I'm at 64, which you can. For me at 64, my thought process gets a little lower. I believe she is an only child. Yes, she's an only child. But for me at 64, the thought process slows down a little bit. When I get into the 50s and 40s, it's rough. It's rough. But all right. See if you can see this. I'll show you how it was. It was a slow dip here. It was. Can you see this? Right here. Yeah, you can kind of see the numbers. It's not really. Anywho. Oh, I have it on my phone too. Sometimes the phone's a little easier to see. But it doesn't start like really beeping bad until I get under 60, I think. Boop, 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 boop. So there you can see the curve. The curve. It's like, woo. As you can see, some of the food was hitting me from lunch as it started to go up. And then there's a correction, but it overcorrected. And it went crashing down. Prince Lover, eat the gummies. Yeah. We are now watching Vinny during a low blood sugar. The dang diabetes. LLR with some information on that other case out of Kansas. The two 14-year-old girls are being held in separate juvenile facilities. Yes. I'm going to have this now. Shot. This is fast acting glucose. They say it's mixed berry, but it's fire water. Wow. Okay. Patricia Fuller, why do you miss me on TV? I'm on TV 2 hours every single night. Every night. Patricia, Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer, Melly, one of them is going to put up the link to Court TV so you can find out how to find me on TV. But I am on every night. I've been on every night, live Monday through Friday, since the relaunch of Court TV in 2019, spring of 2019. So it's been 5 years, Patricia. Have you not seen me for 5 years? You've got to start watching again, Patricia. All right, Patricia. CourtTV.com has the information. I love the glucose shots. You like these? Well, I will be honest though. Like when your blood sugar is low, Paisley, everything tastes good. Everything tastes good. Diabetes. Vinny's shooting up to 310 minutes. No, it's going to take a little longer. And I think these two, how much? Yeah. It's going to take a while here. It's going to take a while. Good question by Crispy Changes. How did she get a hold of the weapon in this case? It's Mississippi. May have just used one that was, available in the house. I think that's the case, but Gringa saying it's fantastic. Adam drives Helen. My grandma got herself off insulin by watching her diet. She lived to 99 and clearly had to be a type 2. Type 2 can, depending upon every type 2 is a little different. All the type 1s were all the same. Every type 2 is a little different, but type 1s were all the same. Lori watches Closing Arguments every night. Thank you, Lori. We'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock for Closing Arguments. How long have I had it? I've had it since the turn of the century. Laura Wagner, is diabetes why you don't drink? No, I didn't drink for 3 decades before I got diabetes. So no, not connected. Not connected. Patricia, you don't need to have cable to watch us. You don't need cable, Patricia. You can get us with a digital antenna. You can watch me on your computer. CourtTV.com, hit the streaming button, 8 to 10 every night. You can watch me on your phone. On your phone. On the Court TV app. Streaming live there as well. 8 to 10. Every single night. 8 to 9 is Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. 9 to 10 is Vinny Politan Investigates. Patricia, no more excuses. You are watching tonight. Tonight. You are watching tonight. Go to CourtTV.com on your PC or download the Court TV app to your phone and hit the streaming button and you will be able to watch me. I will. Okay. One more viewer. Picking up viewers one at a time. I'm keeping track. Yeah, I'm feeling a little better since I think it stopped dropping. And now we've got to wait for it to start to go up a little bit. But my tongue is still a little numb. Tongue is still a little numb. So I definitely still a little low. Leaf Morgan, I'm diabetic, I'm fine. Looking perfect, Leaf. Has not impacted your hair at all. Doing well. This is crazy. Dolores from Pocatello, Idaho, not getting messages anymore about your lives. I almost missed. You know what? I did notice a problem when I first posted that we were going to go live. There was a problem with Facebook. I had to redo it. So I think today there was a Facebook issue, but yeah, I'm wondering, this Facebook clearly does not send notifications to all of my followers. They just don't. They don't send my videos they send them to less than 1% of the people who follow me. It's like, what's the point, Facebook? I'm still going to go on there because some people still can break through there. But like, really? What is the point? Mhm. Jackie Porter, watch you every night. Had to purchase a friendly subscription so I could just watch Court TV. You all are worth it. Hope you guys can get on Hulu. All right, Jackie, thanks so much. You know, you could also do a digital antenna. If you have a Samsung TV, we're streaming on the Samsung Plus streaming service. A lot of people have a Samsung television. They don't even know that Samsung has its own streaming service built into your television if you have one that's relatively new. So you could check that out as well. Thank you so much, Jackie. Gen X, here we go. The main directory here on this link is the best way to find where to watch Court TV. Bingo. Thank you, Gen X. Oh, Becky, Kim, my sister, type 1. She had no insurance. She died 7/27/24. So sorry, Becky. Yeah, if you don't have the ability to get all the things that you need to get, I mean, it's controllable, but it's like it gets expensive. It gets really expensive. Real expensive. So sorry, Becky. Yes, I'm late onset type 1. I did not have it as a child. I am one of the lucky ones. Pick up video on rabbit ears. Bingo. Nice. No insulin. Leaf, are you type 1? Princess Mariposa, if you're watching this, you can watch Core TV. Correctamundo. Lisa, wow, Vinny, a later onset T1D. Daughters was diagnosed in second grade, 8-year-old. Rough. Yeah, very, very rough. The good news is with all the devices now, control is becoming much easier, but it's still 24/7, 365. There's no vacation. There's no vacation. Denise Pesce. Hi, Vinny. Hi, everyone. We don't have Court TV in France. Thanks, YouTube, though. It might be the only French Vinny's fan. All right. Denise, nice to see you. Thank you so much. McSpunky wants to do a shot with me. There you go. So do you wear an insulin pump and a monitor? Yeah, insulin pump is right here. And everything runs through here. So I also get my readings come here. They also go on the phone, but they go to my pump. My pump talks to my continuous glucose monitor, makes subtle adjustments, but anytime you eat, you still have to do the calculation yourself. All right. All right, we had a good crowd here today. Good crowd here today. All right, I'm going to finish balancing my blood sugar so I can bring it at 8 o'clock tonight. Closing arguments on Court TV, followed by 9 o'clock. Vinnie Politan investigates. 2 hours live true crime, unscripted. One of the stories, obviously, we'll be talking about is Carly Gregg tonight. So, big thank you to the Mod Squad, of course. Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Soubet, and Melly for helping us out inside the chat room. Good conversations today. Thank you, everyone, for the well wishes and the helping me get my blood sugar straightened out live on the air. That was fun, right? It won't be the last time we do it. But I noticed I was going, and then all of a sudden my brain was slowing down. And I was like, let me take a look. But the good news is, all right, we got that. We got that. Cancel. Home. 72. That's better. Starting to creep back up. Creeping back up. It'll take a while. All right. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Have a great night. I'll see you 8 o'clock, Court TV. Remember, do not forget to hug the kids.